Alaikum. My name is Daniel Hayden. I'm a PhD student in the Department of Plant Pathology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. My project is working with indigenous growers here in Wisconsin on increasing their cropping system diversity while reducing the input and labor requirements in their systems without sacrificing yield. And they're working with their own culturally significant indigenous corn varieties, like you see in the picture right here. And I'd also like to acknowledge we are on stolen indigenous land. The work we do is on stolen indigenous land. There are 12 tribes in Wisconsin. And just us working and being here at UW-Madison comes at the expense of indigenous people through the Morrill Act of 1862, which established land-grant universities through stolen indigenous land being given from the federal government to these land-grant universities for them to sell and raise funds. So it's important to understand this history in the context, of the work that I'm doing now to sort of understand ways we can better improve and understand our relationships with tribes. And so I'd like to talk more about our culture. So this picture on the left is where it's from Oklahoma. That's where I was born and raised. It's on a prairie, and we see lots that's going on. There's flowers, there's grasses, there's shrubs, and it's what we call high diversity, lots of different organisms. I also put low input. What I mean by low input is that, we don't see anyone out there fertilizing or watering prairies or forests, because they're so diverse, because there's so many different organisms' life, each one contributes its own unique, input into the system. Each one does a different thing, and so the system is able to be a closed system, like these things naturally sort of happen. These natural ecosystems naturally maintain themselves. This is juxtaposed to agricultural systems, where we see in the picture right here, low diversity, there's only one crop being grown, and high input. Because there's low diversity, there's a requirement of high input. That's why we're having issues with nitrate runoffs in rivers, with water issues and shortages in certain states, and so now we sort of have this idea, maybe we should replicate what we see in natural ecosystems, our ag ecosystems, because we don't need as much input, and there's no amount of input in natural ecosystems as in ag. And most, there are practices now, such as through organic or sustainable ag, that recognize this. However, it's important to note that although the farming and research communities are sort of increasingly recognizing the critical role of having diverse cropping systems on their own systems' health and resilience, indigenous peoples have also understood this role for generations, and embedding it in their own traditional knowledge systems and surrounding agriculture and land stewardship. So who better to work with to answer these questions than indigenous people in Wisconsin, which is what we're doing now. And so I am working with Ohelugu, which is a Oneida agricultural co-op focused on growing a culturally significant white corn, Metaconicum, which is a Menominee nonprofit which focuses on many social issues, but also food sovereignty and food justice. I'm working with Dan Cornelius also, who is near Madison. He's an Oneida corn grower. There are also future partners or Ho-Chunk Organic Farm Whirling Thunder and the College of Modern Nation, their ag program through Dr. Frank Kutka. And so we're really key is focusing on this whole project is making sure that indigenous people are leading this discussion, they're leading the research questions, they're asking the questions, and we answer them for them, and we decide from there what's best for their growing systems. And so what we're doing exactly is we're hoping to build upon the traditional knowledge of indigenous people and create a connection from healthy soil, healthy food, to healthy people, which parallels the goals of indigenous food sovereignty for tribes to feed their people with culturally significant food. It can also be parallel too with stuff like global and planetary health as well. And so we're going to do this through the use of organic cover crop based reduced tillage practices, which mitigate the harmful effects of tillage when they stir up the soil before they plant anything. And we want to do that. We want to reduce those effects while promoting soil fertility, weed suppression, and microbial diversity in the soil. And so what we're doing now will decrease the need for outside inputs and save money and labor time for tribal community members like Ohelugu, like Metaconicum, like Dan, who can now focus on other aspects of their lives, food sovereignty initiatives also. And so here's sort of an example of what we're looking at now. We have the cover crops growing between the corn right there, and also the idea is that perennial cover crop systems, you can come back next year, for example, spring 2021, and it'll still be there, so you can just plant right into that again. So far we found our research that, increasing these mixtures generally do better at suppressing weeds, so making your system even more diverse is great. So while not innovative in itself, these practices haven't been really studied with indigenous corn. This project bridges these two worlds of understanding to fill that gap: indigenous grassroots farming and extension research.